Dr. Seuss had this amazing quote: "Be who you are and say what you feel, because those that mind don't matter, and those that matter don't mind." Simple and powerful. Be who you want to be. Say what you want to say. Wear what you want to wear. Talk how you want to talk. Be your full, 100% authentic self. And by doing so...
All right. Here we go, folks. All right. We're ready to rock and roll. Episode 5, GBG. To be honest with you, folks, I'm excited about this one. And I do want to apologize in advance. Last week for episode 4, I may have started off the show by saying that this was going to be the best half hour of your life. Blah, blah, blah. You know what? That's I can't control that. You know, all I can do is provide you with some solid information, some life-altering news, some really helpful pointers, and, you know, you can do with it what you want. All I can do is make dinner. I can't eat it for you, too. All right. So, like I said, episode 5, I want to thank you, first of all, for watching me. You know what? First of all, before I start getting into that, I want to make sure everyone knows that this is an interactive show. And I say that knowing full well that I'm probably not going to read any of your comments until after the show. So I do want to thank you, though, for commenting. Episode 5, I want to thank you all for listening to me on either the RTF Sports Network, on any of the platforms that you can find our parent show, Twist Sports Talk, on. Thank you all to anyone who watches this show, Green Bay Greg, Mike on the Mic, or Benzi's Bit, or anyone who watches Twist. Last week we did that show from a recording studio. It was awesome. We're going to be there for the foreseeable future. It was fantastic. That's a lot of fun. Do want to get into it, though, because my co-hosts, Matt and Mike, like I mentioned, the hosts of Mike on the Mic, and holy cow. Okay, sorry, Buck. Look at this. We got Buck coming and read me, and now he's calling me a prick. Oh no, Mike Reeves is calling me a prick. Wow. Look at this. Sorry. Okay, wait a second. Maybe I'm gonna start showing some of these. This is a little something for the ego. All right, so Mike and Matt on their shows have a tendency to do top 5, top 10. Actually, Matt does top 5, Mike does top 10, and then has like notables, which turns out to usually be like a top 10 to 13. Usually fantasy players, their favorite running backs, tight ends, quarterbacks, et cetera, et cetera. I'm going to do a top 5 list that people need to take into account, and I'll tell you why. So here's the thing. They go into who's going to score the points. So for my sports talkers for this week, I'm going to go your top 5 offensive tackles. And this isn't just me. This is me and an educated panel that consists of me and my dad, who happens to be a Hall of Fame high school football coach and former offensive lineman himself. So these are top 5 offensive linemen in the NFL, and I'm going to go through it quick, and then I'm going to explain why. Number 5 on that list, Lane Johnson from the Eagles. Number 4 on that list, Ronnie Stanley from the Ravens. Number 3 on the list, Tyron Smith from the Cowboys. Number 2 on the list, Terron Armstead from the Saints. And number 1 on the list, not only for providing protection for the greatest quarterback in the last 20 years in the NFL, but can chug a beer unlike anyone I've ever seen in my life, from your Green Bay Packers, David Bakhtiari. Now, here's the thing. Here's my point. Here's why I wanted to get into this. Matt and Mike go after the guys who are going to gather the points. They're your fantasy guys, the tight end that's going to score the most points. And I'm going to be honest. It's great, but you can have the greatest tight end. You can have the greatest wide receiver. He ain't going to amount to shit if he doesn't have a quarterback throwing him the ball. You can have the greatest quarterback. He ain't going to amount to shit unless he's got a guy who can catch the ball. You have the greatest running back. He ain't going to do jack squat unless he's got an offensive line that can block for him. What do all 5 of these guys that I just mentioned have in common? The Eagles, the Ravens, the Cowboys, the Saints, and the Packers. 5 teams that were either in the playoffs or fighting for the playoffs between the Eagles and the Cowboys. These are teams that produce fantasy point scores. It's not a coincidence, folks. No one gets anything done on their own. Tom Brady is not Tom Brady unless he's got a great offensive line and guys who can catch the ball. Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre have never been drafted a first round wide receiver. But Jordy Nelson is arguably one of the top wide receivers of the 2010s. You look at all the guys that Brett Favre had. They make chicken salad out of chicken shit. Just the way it is. So, okay. See, Buck, you're give me a break. I didn't have anyone from the Browns or the Dolphins on the list. That's kind of my point. All right. So once again, I want to thank everyone. The funny thing about this show, episode 5, is that as soon as I said there's a really good chance I wasn't going to be interacting with the audience, I think I have like 45 comments here. And let's just make sure that Mike understands something here real quick. Mike Reeves, host of Mike on the Mic, says, stop talking about Green Bay. Oh, wait, this show is Green Bay Greg. That's right. Deal with it. This is my party. It's my barbecue. You're going to eat the meat the way I serve it. All right. So let's, that's my sports talkers. Now we're going to go into You're Better Than That. So last week, NASCAR Truck Series driver Roy Ciccarelli said that he was going to retire after the end of the season because NASCAR decided to ban immediately the Confederate flag. Now, for those of you who don't know who Ray Ciccarelli is, join the group. No one does. I don't even think Ray Ciccarelli's parents know who Ray Ciccarelli is. But the Truck Series in NASCAR is essentially AA baseball. They are freshman football at a high school, the lowest of the low. So here's the thing. This guy makes this comment. No one gives a rat's ass. You know what, dude? Good riddance. But this is what got me thinking. Number one, the reason why people love certain sports is because they can do them. They just can't do them as well. Golf. Everyone goes to the driving range. Everyone goes out a weekend hack. But there's very few of us out there, me included, that cannot hit a golf ball from 150 yards out within 10 feet of the pin. That's why we watch golf, because the pros can do that. Football, baseball, basketball. I don't know anybody in my life that can hit, in my everyday life that can hit a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. That's why we watch the pros do it. Basketball players, we watch LeBron James do LeBron James things. That's what makes it so much fun. I think that what would make NASCAR or the Truck Series more interesting is if these guys did things that we do every day while driving, just did it better. Put obstacles on the NASCAR course. Put someone out there in the left-hand lane who's driving 40 miles an hour. Put an obstacle out there. Put someone out there who's texting while driving and make everyone drive around them. That might be fun. And as far as the Truck Series, you've seen some of these trucks. They look like mini pickup trucks. That's great. So let's say they're running a 200-lap race in these Truck Series cars. For 20 of those laps, they got to haul their buddy's couch and love seat for 20 laps. Do that better than I can do that or anyone else can do that. Then all of a sudden, then we're watching. You start doing stuff that we all do every day, just do it better. Then you become something that's a lot more interesting for us to watch. That's all I got on NASCAR. You're welcome, NASCAR. I just made you more appealing. All right. Moving on. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take a quick little break here from my moment of Zen and just look at some of the comments. Oh, God. Yeah. Thanks, Matt. Yeah, I bet Greg can definitely show us how to inhale a whole log of cheese. Yeah, what you do, Matt, is you take pepper jack cheese, cut it up into pieces, put it on tortilla chips, put it in the microwave for about 50 seconds. You'll have that pound of pepper jack cheese gone in about a minute and a half. You're welcome. So let's go back to this. Let's get this comments off. All right. Going back to my moment of Zen. All right, my moment of Zen is Harold Varner III. One of 2 African Americans on the PGA Tour, and in this last weekend's tournament, the Charles Schwab Classic, was leading after 36 holes. So he's leading after Friday, going into Saturday. When they asked him in his post-round interview on Friday, with the climate of the world the way it is, especially in America. Black Lives Matter, people wearing the I Can't Breathe shirt, whether you want to call it a riot or a protest, all of this awareness towards racial injustices. He was asked if he feels that he is pretty much golfing on behalf of African Americans around. And his response was something that everyone needs to pay attention to. And I'm not going to quote it exactly because I think the point of it is more powerful. Is he said, yes, I am golfing. I am out here for African Americans, but more importantly, I'm out here golfing for good people of all races. That's that is powerful, because what he's essentially saying is, hey, something that we all need to understand. It's I think there was a guy who said this back in the 60s. I can't remember. He may have said something along the lines of, don't judge someone by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I'm sure someone said that at some point. Can't remember his name. Oh, yeah, that's right. Martin Luther King Jr. said that. It's pretty powerful. Hats off to you, Harold Varner III. You didn't end up winning the tournament, but you won a lot of fans. And there's going to be a lot of people that are out, watching you specifically, for the way you carried yourself. It would have been cool if you'd have won. Don't get me wrong. Like I said in episode 1 of GBG, I'm in sports for the stories. And that would have been a really, really cool story for him to win on this week. So, all right, here we go. Let's go. Let's take a quick look back. We got some more comment. Okay. Matt Benz, this vest is very, very classy. You know what, Matt? Here's the thing. I'm also wearing, the head cheese underneath it. So I'm still sporting the Packer stuff, but want to thank you for recognizing the vest, Matt. I know that you wear a vest 7, if not 8 days a week. So here we go. Here's what we're going to do next. We're going to go outside the arena. And this is what I wanted to touch on for a little bit longer period of time. In some cities, as I've mentioned pretty much on every episode, Twist Sports Talk, as well as Mike on the Mic, Benzi's Bit, and Green Bay Greg are all out of the Minneapolis, Minnesota area. So essentially we're the epicenter of where all the social unrest started, where the police officer killed George Floyd, and I'll say that, killed him, and where all of the protests and rioting originated. From that point on, a lot of the protests have subsided, and what's resulted from it is the way people look and interact with police officers. I know a lot of the city council in Minneapolis has talked about disbanding the police department there, and they're talking about doing away with the police department and being done with it, and we'll use that money for other things. I want people to take a step back for a second. Phrase I like to use: let's pump the brakes for a second. So we need to relax for a second, because do I believe that changes need to be made? Of course. And I say this as the son of a retired police chief and as the twin brother of a police captain. They agree with me. Things need to change. There is way too much social injustice out there. People are being trained inaccurately to, in whatever case. I'm not going to pigeonhole anything into one situation. A whole lot needs to change. But let's not forget something. Human beings are stupid inherently. I mean, think about it. Laws that police officers are out there to protect us. They have laws. And most of those laws, a lot of those laws are where people are protected from other people. But there are laws where people are protected from themselves that police officers are asked to enforce. Speeding, drunk driving, all these things. Police officers are out to protect people from themselves. Just think about how stupid that sounds. We need people to protect us from ourselves, because we are inherently too stupid to know right from wrong when it even comes down to our own well-being. And it's not me, it's not Matt, it's not Mike, it's everybody who's been pulled over for speeding. Simplify it. Being pulled over for speeding is a police officer saying to you, slow down, you could hurt and or kill yourself. So when we disband the police department, yes, we need to fix what is wrong. I'm not saying that there's nothing wrong. I will stand in line first and say stuff is wrong with the way that people are trained to be police officers, and we need a more interactions between, the public, society, and police officers, so there's a better understanding of what's right and wrong. But for the love of God, police officers are asked you to protect you from yourself. I mean, come on. That's essentially saying we are not that bright as a society, because there's stuff that we do all the time, and I'm included in this, where we do wrong things that could hurt ourselves or our loved ones. So, let's pump the brakes a little bit and understand that police officers, ultimately 99.5% of them are doing what we've asked them to do, which is protect us from other people who have bad intentions and protect us from ourselves, because in some cases we're too stupid to protect ourselves from ourselves. So let's take a quick look at some comments here. All right. All right. I'm not going to read any of this. Although Matt and Mike are, all over this. I want to thank them again. Once again, I want to thank you, episode 5, for watching me either live on Facebook, on any of the platforms that you'll find Twist, Mike on the Mic, Benzi's Bit, or Green Bay Greg on the RTF Sports Network, YouTube, any of that stuff. I want to thank you. Smash the share button on this. Share this episode. Share all of our episodes. Become fans of Twist. Become fans of RTF. A lot of great shows on that network. So the last thing I want to end with on this is the GBG challenge. We end every episode with this. On Twist, the Week in Sports Talk, on that podcast, we end that show with Greg's final thought. Usually that final thought's something that's usually been racking my brain all week, something that's been, either bothering me or something I just want to get off my chest. In this case, what I want to get off my chest is something that's really been top of mind for the past couple of weeks, and that is everything that we've been dealing with in society. I have a 12-year-old daughter. She just turned 12 a week ago, and a 9-year-old son. And they've been asking me a lot about what's going on in society. And, other people I've talked about a lot. I've talked about the playground analogy that I, mentioned with them. Talk about other things. But it got me to thinking, every human being on this planet has a million qualities, good and bad. I don't care who you are. There's something good about you. And I don't care who you are. There's something that you can work on. We all have great qualities, great characteristics. So why, as a society, are we putting so much emphasis on the least significant quality a human being has? And that is the color of their skin. Think about that. It is the most insignificant quality a human being has. What's more significant? Pretty much anything else. How you treat other people, how you treat yourself, how you view life, what your status is, anything. What race you are, what gender you are, what your sexual orientation is, what your creed is. Anything is more important than the color of your skin. So why do we put so much emphasis on it? The truth of the matter is, I don't think anyone knows. Because if someone did know, it would be the end of racial injustice in society, because everyone would just accept it. You know what? We can't do that anymore. It is what it is. The bottom line is, as a society, we have to, once again, I'm going to dive into the bag of GBG cliches. You got to be better than that. We have to be better than that. We all do. I find myself a lot of times. And you know what? Here's the thing. It's the denial that we judge each other. We judge each other all the time. Maybe sometimes it's bad, sometimes it's good. But to deny, to be someone who says, oh, I don't judge anybody, bullshit. We judge people all the time. The thing is, what we have to do, like Martin Luther King Jr. said, judge people by the content of their character, not the color of their skin. I have found myself for the past several weeks trying to be nicer to people of other ethnicities. Do I do it all the time? No. Not, I don't shy away from people. I don't assume just because someone's black, they're a bad person just because someone's, Hispanic, they're a bad person. Just because someone's white, they're a good person. I like to, you know what? I'm going to let you open up your mouth, have an interaction with me, and we'll see what happens. But I'm trying really hard, and I hope everyone else is too. Because when we get to a point where we start ultimately judging people by the content of their character, by how they treat me, how they treat my children, how they treat ultimately themselves, we will get past the biggest hurdle that we have in society. And that is not thinking of color first. We will at some point think of color in the process. Of course, everyone does. It's there in front of us. It's like some people like blondes or brunettes. Some people like tall women or short women. Some people like a guy, with a beard or a guy without. Although I can't imagine someone liking someone who doesn't have a beard. I mean, look at this. Bottom line is, when it comes to our physical appearance, as that drops lower and lower down the priority list of things that we judge people on, we become stronger and stronger as a society. That's my challenge to you all. Make the physical appearance someone has less and less of a priority, and the content of their character much, much stronger. That's all I got for this week. I appreciate your time. Once again, I'm hoping that this at least changed your life for the better. That's all I got. GBG out.